Rex Heuermann. I'm an architect. I'm an architectural consultant. I'm a troubleshooter. Born and raised on Long Island. Okay. Been working in Manhattan since 1987. And it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
The work is not done here, but this is a major, major step forward.
My reaction is, this is nuts. It's really, really crazy. You never know, you never know who your neighbors are, right?
Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly K. This is Grizzly True Crime. Happy Friday to you if you are watching this live with us. And if you're watching it from the future, then happy whatever day it is for you. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. Replay watchers, thank you so much for always watching the replays. Really appreciate it. If you guys are here in the live stream with me and you watch the replays, damn. Thank you so much. Welcome to all my moderators. Moderators have got that little wrench next to their name and they help to moderate the chat and keep it grizzly, as we say, which is kind and respectful, especially to victims and their families, but also with each other here. So thank you, moderators, for everything that you do. Welcome to all my patrons. If you guys didn't know, on Patreon, there's a brand new feature where there's a community chat so that everyone can now talk to each other. So that's pretty cool. So we're trying that out. So thank you to everyone who is on Patreon. Welcome to all my members, all the OGs, original Grizzlies. That means you already subscribed, and all the new Gs that are going to subscribe today. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Please like and share. It really helps to let others know, oh, okay, we're live right now, in case they're not on Patreon and didn't get that notification, or in case, they didn't get the YouTube notification. If you like and share, it helps others know all over social media, okay, they can come here and chat live with us. Today we're going to be looking at some updates in the case against Rex Heuermann. He is the suspected Long Island serial killer, the suspected Gilgo Beach murders guy. And the more we go, the more we find out, the more that seems plausible that there will be more charges against him. If you have not ever heard of this case, I would highly recommend checking out my playlist on this case, because we've done a deep dive. Maybe the deepest dive we could on this guy. And on the case and all the victims and the timeline and just everything. So I would rather have you check that out than me even just try to recap a little bit here, because there's so much to this case. 11 bodies found in that area, along the Gilgo Beach area of Long Island, New York. And whoa, the guy that they arrested over a decade later was really living in plain sight, like an architect working in New York who lived in Massapequa Park, who ate pizza and not the crust, which is how they then got his DNA, because they'd been watching him. There's a lot to this case, okay? So we've done lots of compartmentalized topics and things and deep dives over here and over here. So check it out, okay? Now, today what we're going to be looking at is I've got a little presentation for you, a little bit of an article time, and then also a little press conference, which is a media briefing. This one you see on screen here. This is the district attorney. Rex Heuermann was recently in court. So that was on September 27th of 2023. So a little while ago. We went live there for this. We missed that with all the Amber Alert, oh my word, that abduction case of Charlotte, shame, oh my word. That and the manhunt and all kinds of things. So much has been going on that we didn't actually get to this yet. I'm glad we can now. And then also tie in some new information that's come in and things like that. Janet, oh my word. You've been a member for 12 months. Thank you so much. You said thank you for your hard work, G. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, Liz says, lol, pizza, no crust, lol. Yeah, Rex Heuermann. Oh man, he left his pizza crust, thank goodness, right? Okay. If you know the answer to Shauna's question, if you can answer that. Otherwise, Shauna, please email me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. So, now, we're going to look at this little presentation here. Hold on one second. There we go. There is an account on X, formerly known as Twitter. I think that's going to be its new name when they make a URL. X, formerly known as Twitter. Oh, man. But there's an account there called Catch Lisk that has been posting for a long time, and they just post the best pictures of all the victims. They make sure to touch them up and really honor the victims. And I would highly recommend checking out this page, Catch Lisk. Okay? And so this collage comes from them, so credit to them. So if you are part of the Grizzly Twitter crew, go and follow them as well. Court proceedings today, this was September 27, says court proceedings today for Lisk, possibly about his guns, but these are the most valuable treasures, which are Maureen Brainard Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, Amberlynn Costello, Jessica Taylor, Valerie Mack, Shannan Gilbert, Karen Vergara. In some of the most recent episodes, they had identified Fire Island Jane Doe, now called Karen Vergara after all this time. Oh my word. Asian Doe, Toddler, and Peaches. Only M says, baby Grizzly here. Thanks for all you do for all of us. Thank you so much. So, yes, and if you didn't know, Rex Heuermann has been charged with 3 out of the 4 Gilgo Four murders, with the 4th charge pending. So he's been charged with the murders of Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amberlynn Costello. And the charges he's the prime suspect in the case of Maureen Brainard Barnes. They are known as the Gilgo Four. So if you've never heard of this case and you want to research the Gilgo Four, just check out my episodes. Now you know. JC Vasquez, you said keep it up. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your encouragement there. Thank you. I'm going to keep it up. Okay, let's keep going. Thank you, Mitzi. So on September 27th of 2023, suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann, who has been formally charged with the murders of Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amberlynn Costello, was in court for a status hearing. He is the prime suspect in the murder of Maureen Brainard Barnes. And of course, Shannan Gilbert, when she went missing, that was the catalyst for this entire case. They were looking for Shannan Gilbert and then stumbled upon 10 other bodies. I mean, you just can't believe this case. And then not only that, but then there were all these like corrupt police officers and a corrupt, district attorney before, and then that police chief got arrested, and it's just like, it's a lot, okay? Anyway, so it's amazing that with a special task force team and new district attorney and everything, they actually managed to find the suspect, Rex Heuermann. So, September 27, 2023, status hearing or status conference happened in court. Rex Heuermann was in court and he told the judge, which, just think about the psychology of this. We've done quite a deep dive on his background and sort of touching on his psychology, speculatively, of course. But here they say Rex Heuermann was in court and told the judge. So he spoke, okay? It spoke. He was like looking at all the reporters, apparently. That's what he does. He like glares at all of them before he walks out, and they just kind of feel weird about it. So he told the judge that he's allowed to view up to 4 hours of discovery materials a day, but he's been viewing 2 to 3 hours a day. I mean, is he trying to get like brownie points or be the, like the teacher's pet of like, yes, I'm very disciplined. I can review 4 hours a day, but actually I've been reviewing 2 to 3 hours a day of, the discovery evidence against him. Like, what does he have the need to say that? Also, Rex's wife, Assa, she's actually from Iceland. Remember, I went to Iceland recently. I did not find those dolls that they collected. No, I did not. But Assa is requesting guns and jewelry back from the police because investigators, obviously, there was a search warrant at Rex's house. They pretty much turned that entire house and garden, everything upside down. And so his wife is asking, can we get some of those guns back and the jewelry, because she wants to pawn them off. The value is estimated, according to her attorney, at about $300,000, which they say will really help her survive. Eddie, don't worry. Thank you for being a member for 5 months. So, yes, okay. And off we go. So, he's pleaded not guilty, obviously. He's pleaded not guilty and he's due back in court on November 15th of 2023. Yes, wait, I missed that comment. There we go. See, Tierney says, what does he need to discover? He has all the answers. He reminds me so much of John Wayne Gacy. I don't know if you guys know, but I wrote a book on John Wayne Gacy, and oh my word, at some point I felt like I was stuck in the crawl space for months. It was horrible. What a creepy serial killer John Wayne Gacy was, my word. The killer clown, as they call him, right? There's also an audiobook that I narrated if you are interested. But the point is, he reminds me so much of him because Gacy was also sitting there with all these case files, and he made his own case file eventually. And until the day that he was executed, he proclaimed his innocence. Like, he just could not... A psychologist actually said he could not accept what he had done because he wouldn't survive that. So it's like this whole, like, I'm reviewing the evidence against me and building my case. I don't know. It just reminds me of that sort of vibe, right? So, yeah, he'll be back in court November 15th, 2023. I just wanted to show you a little bit of a before and after. We are not here to bully people about their looks or anything like that. We do get snarky, though, towards criminals, and we are allowed to say he's got a very bad haircut now, hey? Well, it wasn't great before, but now look at him. He's like, oh, I'm a good boy. Look at me. I'm angry, but I'm so disciplined in my little cell. Like, oh, man. Tara, TJ, you said great work as usual. Gisela K, thank you so much. So, yeah, he's all suited up now, you know? I think here he was on unaliving watch. It doesn't seem to be that he is anymore. But imagine him glaring at you like that because he glares at the reporters. They say it's so weird. Before he leaves the courtroom, he always first looks at all the reporters, like one by one, and looks at them, and then he walks out. Weird. Okay. So, that's what he looks like now. Not that we really want to see that, right? Okay. Yes, Cece, I've been watching all those episodes as well. Reporters said that before he left, Rex stated all of them and then walked out. He's done this before. He did it in the last hearing as well. He had 200 to 300 guns that were seized during a search of his home. More than 50 of those guns were actually purchased illegally. So that's new information. Of course, it's kind of like, you know, I just see the media's just like, oh my word, he had 50 of them, and that's just the news now. I'm glad we can have this live stream now with lots of bits of news. Otherwise, I feel like you guys might get bored quite quick of just like, okay, the breaking news is that okay, but he did have 50 guns that were purchased illegally. He had permits for 92 of his guns. Many long guns did not require permits. Oh man, YouTube's going to just hear me saying the GUN word so many times now, aren't they? And they're going to be like, okay, we are going to make sure that nobody else sees this episode. So it's up to you guys to please like and share. YouTube doesn't like words like that. No, they don't like it. Candy, yes, indeed. Almost 300. I think they said it was like, do you guys remember the exact number? We went over it before. I think it was like 272 or 279 or something like that. At some point they said an exact number. But according to Asa, that's his wife's attorney, Heurmann was a gun guy who attended NRA conferences. So here you go with the words again, National Rifle Association conferences, and had many valuable collector's items that he collected illegally. He had collected guns dating back to the 1860s, including various firearms manufactured in Europe. Okay, well. So then, for example, at least 26 unregistered handguns, 15 unregistered assault weapons, and 10 high-capacity magazines appear to have been possessed in the defendant's home in violation of the state firearm laws. Assistant Suffolk County DA Lawrence Opiso said. Suffolk investigators said that they always planned to transfer the weapons to authorities in Nassau. Heurmann's defense attorney, Sabato Capone, said the confiscated cash includes magazines, cases, attachments, ammunition, bullet fragments, and shell casing. And you know what? They do not believe so far, based on what we know, and based on what everyone said, they don't believe that he actually used any of these guns on his victims. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Maybe he thinks the guns are just oh so valuable, right? And that human life, not so much. Wow. Okay, so according to court documents, now this was new as well. According to court documents, which a lot I believe is sealed. I can't find all the court documents, but okay, according to court documents, male hair was recovered from the burlap used to wrap Megan Waterman's body. And that DNA was found to be a match to leftover pizza crust that Rex Heuermann threw into a Manhattan garbage can in January of 2023. Those are actual pictures. That was from that probable cause affidavit. If you've never heard that, I would highly recommend actually starting there. You're going to learn a lot. If you've never heard the whole read-through, you know I like to read through like whole documents like that, of the PCA. Wow, we went over a lot of stuff there. But yeah, those are literally the pictures of how he chucked out his lunch that day. And they went and got it and tested the DNA. We've heard about his wife's hairs being on some of the burlap. She's been cleared, is how it's been said. Okay, I'm just saying, most people say no one's cleared yet. Apparently she's been cleared. And the thing is that they're talking about transference could happen, of course, as we know. And so, this is, I think, the first time, from what I remember, that we're hearing, oh, okay, so a male hair was found on the burlap used to wrap, and they specifically say Megan Waterman's body. That DNA was found to be a match to the leftover pizza crust. And then, of course, they confirmed that the pizza crust DNA was then consistent with the DNA swab provided by Heurmann after his arrest. I see the welcome Laura to Grizzly supporter. I see the DA says Buccal swab, which there's different pronunciations, and that's my point. For we are an international audience from wherever we are. We pronounce things a little differently. We say things differently from all over the world. To America, it's a grain of salt. To the UK, South Africa, Japan, it's a pinch of salt. Right? To the mafia, it's a punch of salt. Literally. Anyway, or in South Africa, it could be a knippy salt. My point is that he says buccal swab, but then we had this little debate once upon a time. Like, is it buccal or buccal or what? It's buccal swab usually, but he says buccal swab, which you'll hear it as well. And so, that is some solid evidence now. You know, to find his hair on the burlap used to wrap Megan Waterman's body. His hair matched to the DNA on the pizza crust, which then matched to that buccal swab. Well, that's pretty strong evidence so far, right? And so, they say, defense attorney Michael Brown said that he has been given very little discovery. Oh no, it sounds like Delphi now. When I hear that, I'm like, oh no, here we go. But also, the Idaho case and everything, right? Defense attorney saying, he's been given very little discovery and no DNA evidence yet, but said, I don't know if it's very little discovery, because I'm like, damn, what he's described so far is a lot. He said that he got another flash drive with 5,000 pages of discovery and 10,000 photos. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, I missed something's going on in the chat. I missed it. Maybe it's a good thing. So, thank you, mods, for whatever it is you're doing there. I really appreciate it. So then, he said that the 5 hard drives that he received in August included over a year's worth of video surveillance of Rex Heuermann outside his Long Island home, which captured him heading to work, spending time with family, chopping wood, and hanging out on his porch. Of course, it would be interesting given now the timelines of the murders, right? Just to see what all was this guy up to during all of that. So yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of evidence that they have. RH's attorney, so RH is Rex Heuermann, just for future reference, his attorney said that he hopes to have all discovery by November 15th of 2023, which is his next court date. Lenny, thank you so much. You say, you are awesome, Grizzly. Thank you for all that you do. Lenny, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm sure it's early morning for you already, right? And for being a member for 23 months and for always sharing everything on X, formerly known as Twitter as well. I really appreciate it. So, yes, that's what we have so far now. Let's just see. I think there's one more slide. Is there? Yes, okay. In other news, Shannan Gilbert's attorney, John Ray, says that based on the evidence in his investigation, Shannan was murdered, and he believes there is a link to Rex Heuermann. So he says the people that he thinks are responsible for Shannan Gilbert's murder are in some way connected to Rex Heuermann. Now, he didn't want to specify. This was on opening statements with Julie Grant on Core TV, and those were the statements he made. He's made quite a lot of controversial statements over the years, of course. Most of them, you know, I watch them, I take them in. I'm like, okay, you know. I just hated it how he went after Rex's wife that time. a little while ago. It was just not nice the way he spoke about it. I was like, damn, he's so angry, my goodness. Anyway, but other than that, he's fighting very hard for Shannan Gilbert. Yes, so that's also some news in the case, which we'll keep an eye on. Yes. Okay, so we've got, that was the presentation. Tierney said I have to disagree with him. It's one of those topics, right? Because the police investigators, even the new task force, all the new investigators, they're saying that Shannan Gilbert died not by murder, like by mistake. You know, it's a whole thing. That she went into the marsh and drowned and all of that. But he's saying it's murder and that he thinks that they're all connected and all of that kind of stuff, right? Okay. So now, Gary Hamby, welcome to Grizzly Supporter. Really appreciate it. Now we're going to be watching this little press conference. I might put it to 1.25 speed. I probably will. I watch everything on 1.5, 1.75, or 2 times speed, as you guys know. If you want to slow it down, please remember just to toggle that little gear switch on your mobile device or wherever you're watching on your screen. Just toggle it and slow it down yourself. You can, if I put it 2 times speed, you can slow it down yourself on your screen for you, right? So we're going to watch this. This was now the after court appearance hearing. You know, where the district attorney and Rex's attorney spoke to the media. So there were some interesting things said here and there, so I thought we could watch this together because I don't know. Did you see it? I feel like a lot of people may have missed this. It kind of just sort of went under the radar a little bit there. So we're going to watch it together here. I have also made sure to boost the sound. And so we're going to do that. Archigirl says, I don't like it speeded up. You don't like it sped up? I can't deal with it without being sped up. But it's also because it's 21 minutes long. So if we're going to sit here and I have to interrupt every now and then, you know, it's just how it works. It's fair use. I gotta make my commentary as well. So it will be a forever. Okay. Yeah, CC said, Gizla, you talk on 1.25. I know, right? Okay, so let's watch this. Wait, let me make sure the sound is on for you. Yes, here we go.
Yeah, nice. Good afternoon or good morning. Thanks for everyone for coming out to Suffolk County. As you see, it was a typical court conference with a case like this. It's not exciting, but it's necessary. The parties, defense and prosecution, we worked out some logistics with regard to the protective order, with regard to discovery. We provided a number of items of discovery, not only prior to the court appearance, but at the court appearance. We'll continue to provide that discovery on a rolling basis, and the next court date is November 15th.
What's the protective order? Mr. Tierney, can you explain what Mr. Santomartino said in court, that apparently there's a match between the DNA on the pizza crust and the buccal swab you took for Mr. Heurmann, and explain the significance of that?
Sure. So that was provided. That was provided today. That the data and the reports pertaining to that aspect. So as everyone I think knows, that there was an abandonment sample obtained from the defendant via the pizza box, and the pizza that was in the pizza box, a DNA profile was obtained from that pizza. Subsequent to the defendant's arrest, a buccal swab was taken of the defendant. A DNA profile was obtained from that buccal swab, and the buccal swab of the defendant matches the DNA profile from that of the abandonment sample in the pizza box.
So there you go. You heard it from the district attorney yourself there. And someone here said it was JXDO, extra cheese, pepperoni, and DNA. Yes, I'd like my pizza with a little bit of extra cheese, pepperoni, and then, just a little bit of DNA they left behind there, right? Thank you so much. Leader Live says, Gizla, I found all the other YouTube shows are all cock. I'm so happy to be part of this community. Love all Grizzlies and mods. Oh, thank you so much. If anyone is watching now and thinks I talk too much, like that comment I just deleted there, or if there's a replay watcher, they're like, why do you have to keep interrupting? Hello, it's a live stream. We are live right now as a community talking to each other, okay? That's what we're doing, just in case you don't know. It's not like perfect little videos where I'm like, I'm going to tell you a bedtime story, okay? We are here interacting, commenting on the buccal swab. Pernille says buccal swab. I like it in the New York accent as well, right? Buccal swab. Okay, continuing on.
You just hear about the swab to the hair. When are we going to hear about the swab to the hair that was found on this waterman? That was the other thing that you guys said you needed the swab for, was to run that analysis.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be the same thing because the pizza box and the buccal swab are the same. It's the same profile.
Can you go over exactly what was handed over today?
It's over, I think, 5,000 pages of material. So primarily grand jury material, grand jury reports, grand jury exhibits, that sort of stuff.
And the exhibits included video walkthroughs, footage from the car, the memo books. Can you go through that? The storage unit.
So, it's just a voluminous amount of stuff, and we're
I'm sure it is, according to his defense attorney, to write a voluminous amount of stuff. It's just 13 years worth of investigation, right? Bold crime, thank you so much. Congratulations to you. And I shall have a rose tonic. I don't drink alcohol, but I'll have a lemonade or something. Or, I'll have coffee. So thank you so much.
providing it on a rolling basis. So, it's just it's a continuing process.
Is this the first time you teach both in court today?
Probably, yeah.
The attorney, just to clarify, you have the buccal swab. It matches the pizza crust. Does it match the hair that's on Megan Waterman's body from the buccal swab?
So that analysis doesn't change anything that's in our bail letter.
But can you confirm that in the past it matched?
Well, you're using the term match. It's consistent with.
Okay.
Yeah.
We gotta get our legalese on, it's like you using the term match, we use consistent with. I like that a lot. Okay, with a buccal swab. So if you missed the beginning of the stream, I hope you'll check it out. Basically, they found a male hair on the burlap that Megan Waterman's body was wrapped in, and they compared that to the DNA found on a pizza crust that Rex Heuermann did not eat, left in the box, chucked out there in New York, He was having his lunch, walking around, putting that pizza box in the trash, and they swooped in and they're like, get the crust. They got it, okay, tested that DNA, and they're like, it's a match. And then when they finally, after all the other evidence they gathered, which if you go over that probable cause affidavit, I read it to you, so you could just listen to that anytime you want. Yes, they finally arrested him, and then they were able to get a buccal swab or a buccal swab and then test that DNA, and that was a match too. Well, a match consistent with. Continuing on.
And then there's a ratio, a probability that's provided. So that would just confirm all of that which is contained in the bail letter.
Swab increase the ratio, increase the probability?
No.
What is the protective order pertaining to?
So in all cases, really, you have a protective order with a number of conditions in the protective order. Really, the most important one is that the material that is provided is not provided to the media. So there are terms and conditions in the in all protective orders, and that you go through a series of just working with the court, working with defense counsel to hammer out language that works for everybody. So sometimes you have to make slight modifications, and that's what we did in this case. And in this specific case, there was a watermark that the defense found unwieldy, so they asked, and we complied and removed the watermark.
The mention of the amount of time he's got to, or the amount of time he's able to review this discovery, 2 to 3 hours. Based on that, as long as that being how long he can sit and do this on a daily basis, how long do you think it's going to take him to get through all the discovery?
He says it's up to 4 hours, and
he can sit for 2 or 3.
And so again, that's something that the defense does, but it's given to the material is given to his counsel, and then his counsel chooses how they review it, who they review it with, and the methodology behind that. So we'll just leave that to them.
Just remember, Rex is being a very good boy, and he is sticking to 2 to 3 hours of reviewing the evidence against him a day, where he's allocated 4 hours. Okay. And he felt the need to tell the judge that. Yes, as if okay, bro, we're analyzing now. So we shall continue on. I just wanted to tell you, I wanted to tell you something about, apparently there's some mystery person visiting him. They visited twice already, and at the jail they're not revealing who it is because they said it would turn their life upside down, but it's not his attorney or a family member. So it's somebody else. I don't know who that is. I don't know who. Just letting you know.
Stronger about the case now that the DNA has come back? I mean, I think this is sort of is this not a monumental development, or did you know this was?
Not at all.
Okay.
We were very confident that this was going to be the case. You know, when you look at a case, there are things that we as a prosecution team expect. And you know the way the case is unfolding, you know, is consistent with our expectations. So that's good.
You mentioned the watermark that you put on some of the evidence. Were you worried that there would be leaks? There haven't been any apparently to the media. But were you worried about that? Is that why?
Well, I mean, I think you're always worried about leaks. You're always worrying about maintaining.
I like that you mentioned the watermark. The defense wanted you to remove that watermark. Did you think it would leak? I mean, well, that is always a concern, as they say. It is a concern. I just love the way this district attorney is so confident. Like, no, this is not huge news. We already had this in the bag. Basically, we knew. We're very confident with our case over here. Love that. Prem Ananda, welcome to Grizzly Supporter.
Grand jury secrecy, grand jury privilege, privacy rights of individuals. So what you do is you do a balancing act, and you know, between everyone, between the prosecution team, between the defense team, between the court and their team. So this is you know, something that you worry about in general, but I had no specific worries, you know, in this instance. There's a lot of material that we have to provide to the defense. We appreciate the cooperation of not only the defense but the court, because you know, you can't just, you know, you have to provide the material in such a way that's coherent so they can follow it along. It helps them, but it also helps us, so we are able to
By the way, just hang in there for the snarky, I've got to say it in my New York accent, guys, the snarky defense attorney. He's actually pretty cool, that defense attorney. So we're going to get to that. There's like, out of these 21 minutes, and by the way, it's on normal speed because they actually speak pretty fast in New York. I quite like that. No wonder I like New York.
Memorialize and show that every single piece of paper and document in this case has been provided to the defense, because that's certainly important not only for the trial but for an appellate record as well. So it's not something, you know, you don't take a 13-year investigation and turn it over in a day or two. So we certainly appreciate the cooperation that we're receiving from you know, the court and the defense.
Are you any closer to additional charges against him?
We're still, you know, investigating. Our investigation is continuing, and when we're prepared to announce charges, if that day comes, we'll do it in court.
It sounded like, you know, once we're prepared to announce it, if that day comes. I'm sure there will be more charges. I mean, especially for Maureen Brainard Barnes, right? He's the prime suspect in that. So they're working on that investigation. And then there's all the other victims as well, which they have to, of course, investigate to see if it's linked to him or not. Okay, if you want to go down the rabbit hole of could there be other serial killers that use the same dumping ground and all of that, and why that could actually be plausible, again, just check out the playlist. We also had criminal profiler John Kelly on, and we discussed all of that at length, right? So continuing on.
I'm sorry?
What will happen on November 15th?
Just basically what you see here. You know, unless there are new issues that arise or new facts that come to bear. But you know, this is the court case. You know, especially a complex case like this. It's just a lot of you know, clerical type of discovery that needs to be provided to the parties, to the court.
What's going on with his guns? His guns were transferred to Nassau. Can you explain?
Well, the guns that's a subject of a separate motion, and I believe that's being heard October 2nd. So we'll have more clarity on that. We're seeking to have those guns returned to Nassau.
Why is it necessary to?
So the only update I got on that was that there was a motion filed and that the wife, Asa, his wife, would like the guns back, and I don't know, they're figuring all that out. Prem Ananda said, love your pristine and thorough coverage. Gizla, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Have a conference in private instead of in front of a public
I think it's just, it's up to the council, really, and the court, primarily, most of all. And basically, what happens is there's discussions, and those discussions are then, placed on the record.
What is the investigation? Moved on to the other unsolved murders on Ocean Parkway and whether genetic material from Heurmann.
Well, we've been, we said that initially our investigation centered around the Gilgo Four. We were prepared to bring charges with regard to 3 out of the 4 Gilgo Four victims. We're working on the 4th Gilgo victim, and now we've expanded our investigation to include other bodies that were recovered in that area, and we'll speak about that when and if we're prepared to bring charges.
See, so they are, of course they are. I'm just saying they are expanding to include investigations on all the bodies found in that area, and maybe even beyond that area, right? It could be all over, because Rex Heuermann had properties all over and he traveled all over. So I believe they're also looking at some in Vegas and, South Carolina, and just all over the place, looking into it. So it's a massive investigation. I mean, this suspected serial killer could have been active for decades. Okay.
Evidence on any of those other?
There's always potentially DNA evidence in any case. You just have to see whether or not you can take DNA or genetic material and compare it to a subject. So
you're investigating all the bodies on Gilgo as being killed by the same person?
We're investigating other instances where individuals were left on Gilgo.
In terms of the 4th victim that has not been charged yet, what is the reason behind the delay in time or the time lapse between the 3 and this last one?
So as we said right from the very beginning, when we started the grand jury investigation, there was a tension between the acquisition of evidence as well as maintaining grand jury secrecy, as well as public safety. At a certain time in January, that balance shifted. We moved on to the 3 cases that we had completed, and we're continuing with the investigation of the Maureen Brainerd Barnes murder, and that investigation is continuing. So it takes time. I know that when you watch a show like CSI, everything gets done in an hour, but that's just not realistic.
For those who
Daniel Gorbia said, I hope they don't follow in the footsteps of Delphi investigators and prosecutors in the case. The case is filled with lies. Well, I think this case has already been there. It was stuck there for over a decade, right? And then this new task force was formed in 2022, new management basically, and the FBI joined in again, and they actually managed to catch the suspect. So I think this team is worlds apart. Sorry to say to the Delphi team, but worlds apart. This is... I have confidence in them. I feel confident, right? How about you? Also, somebody asked after that, sorry that I missed it there. Teresa, I think, was saying, why? Yeah, there we go. Why does he keep saying if in regard to bringing charges? He has to. It's legalese. He's got to cover his own ass. Of course, they got to be sure before they bring charges against him, because it has to be successful convictions. Otherwise, of course, the case can be thrown out. It's got to be... He's innocent or proven guilty in a court of law. Yes. So they've got to take this to court and make sure the case is very strong and they're very sure of everything, so that there can be justice for all the victims.
Don't have expertise. Can you just explain the significance of the match between his DNA that you took after he was arrested and the pizza crust?
So, there was the surveillance team had observed the pizza box and were confident that was his DNA, that the DNA profile would be consistent with the defendant because he left that material inside the box. And so the buccal swab just erases all doubt.
Are you working with them in South Carolina? There was a missing woman that you could share anything?
Yeah, so we work with all of our partners on all of our cases, and we're ready, willing, and able to share whatever information we have. Obviously, we've amassed a lot of information with regard to this particular subject, and we're sharing that with anyone who wants with regard to their investigations. But just as I wouldn't want those authorities to be commenting on my investigation, I'm not going to comment on theirs. I'll leave that to them.
And any gauge on how long this discovery process is going to last? Are we still looking at months ahead with how much data there is?
I mean, it's certainly going to be a lengthy process, and we'll continue to work with the court and the defense to streamline it as much as possible. But it will take months, that's for sure. Thanks a lot.
Okay, now we're gonna hear from the snarky defense attorney. Thank you so much to Lou Bro or Low Bro. I don't know how to exactly say your name. Lou, Lou Bro. You said the description date says November 27th. Is it supposed to be September? Yes, it's supposed to be September 27th. That they mean in my description box when I typed up. I always type up whole, big descriptions for you guys so that you can read it. I don't know if you like that, because I do. If I'm watching videos, I'm always like, ooh, let's check out either the comments or the description box, right? So yes, this court appearance happened on September 27th of 2023, and he'll next be in court November. Pop quiz time, guys. Is it 13th or 15th? It's from my presentation. Okay. And so, yeah, that's what we're looking at is now this post-court media briefing that happened on September 27th.
Thank you.
So that right there.
Hold on. We're going to go forward here to the snarky defense attorney of Rex Heuermann, right? Laura J said, finally an update on this case. Thanks, G. Yes, we've been waiting for lots of little bits to come together so we can have a proper, intense live stream. We like that, right? So we can discuss lots of things. So let's have a listen here.
Is pretty significant. So that's what they have.
That would make sense if I just went back a little bit. Wait. No, it's pretty much how he starts. Pretty significant. Just there.
Pretty significant. So that's what they have. So that's all I can tell you. And I have not, and that's assuming a lot of different things, right? Because DNA can be transferred. DNA can be transferred from me going up to the cameraman and shaking his hand, and I would say he would get my hair, but I have no hair, but he would get my DNA, and then he goes to a second person, and now it's transferred. So all things, I'm just putting that out there, but going back to inclusive versus exclusive, it's still a significant amount of people that could be the source of this hair. But anyway, any other questions?
You said something about the protective order to the judge. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, so initially there was a protective order that we agreed to, which had a couple of things in it that were troubling to us. Number one is there's a watermark across every single piece of evidence, every photograph. It's troubling because we want to obviously print out some of these items and utilize it to our benefit at trial. In addition, the photographs that they provided were in a PDF fashion. So PDF is.
Oh no! I hope they don't print it all out. Shame. That's gonna be a lot of printing. Imagine that, all the paper and the ink and the everything. Jan Morin, thank you so much for your sticker. They do not believe that he even used a gun on any of his victims. That's what they're speculating right now, but we're not too sure, of course. And I mean, I don't know, he had almost 300 guns. So there's that. This would be Rex Heuermann's defense attorney. And Asa, Rex's wife, she's got an attorney as well. Yes. I think he's actually got 2 defense attorneys at this point. So let's continue on here.
Much less clear than a digital photograph. So we wanted everything digital, because when you enlarge things digitally, you can see much more detail. That's going to be important for us. So those are 2 of the things that we're now getting. I don't know if there's any other significant portions of the protective order that were amended, but those were 2 significant parts. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about your client was asked if he was taking advantage of his right to review material. What is he doing? Is he reviewing everything that you get?
He is. So what happened was we went to the court, we went to Justice Mazie, and we asked for a court order. We wanted a court order because we wanted to enable him the opportunity to review all the discovery while he's in custody. Justice Mazie signed that, and the sheriff is now abiding by that order, and he's permitting my client to review the discovery as it trickles in. We're providing it to him, and he's reviewing the discovery.
And how is his mood and demeanor now?
Everyone's asking the defense attorney, what's his mood like? How's his demeanor? What's he up to? It's like, yes, he's reviewing all the evidence against him, as we know now, for 2 to 3 hours a day, even though he's allocated 4. Yes?
Well, he's somebody who has from the beginning has said he's not guilty, so he's now incarcerated. He's a fellow who was working, has never been arrested, has a wife and children, is a productive member of society, and obviously the district attorney, the government is making these allegations and they're horrific. But if he's not guilty of this, well, now he has to sit in custody, be away from his family, be away from his wife and kids, not work, not produce for his family and support them, and sit in a jail cell until this case can come to fruition.
Just remember that his wife has filed for divorce. She did that real quick. We don't always see that in cases like this where a spouse is charged with murder, let alone serial killing. You know, sometimes people stay in denial for a long time. But Ussa was like, that's it, I'm out, finding those divorce papers, let's go. So there's that, yes, and let's continue on.
So he's doing the best he can. The sheriff made a comment about how he's not making any emotions, right? And I know the press ran with that and said, oh, look, he's not showing emotions. Well, I have to tell you that when I first started on this case, I made it a point to tell him, just get through this, Rex. Get through this. Get to the point where we can go to trial. And don't show emotion. Don't let anything upset you. Just be stoic. And that's what he's done. And then we saw a comment, unfortunately, and I have a lot of respect for Sheriff Toulon, but the sheriff made a comment about he's not showing emotion, and from that I can tell you there's something wrong with him. Well, that's just not the case. That's just sensationalism, and that's just things that, unfortunately...
I like it, like, and then the sheriff said he's not showing emotion, so there's something wrong with him. Well, you advise him not to show any emotion. You be stoic now. You know, I don't know. Do you think that's good advice? If you were his attorney, is it? I guess. I mean, I don't know what advice I would give. It's just like, just be stoic. Well, he still looks pretty angry, you know, if you look at his pictures, right?
Poison the jury pool. That's not true. So the answer to your question is he's doing the best he can at this point.
Has he been in touch with Asa or children?
They do communicate, yes.
Have they physically?
Yes, sir.
What's your experience working with the data? Was it the table of contents? Was it you working with the organizer?
In terms, which data are you referring to?
This is 8 terabytes to start with that.
The 8 terabytes. So initially we got 4 external hard drives. 99% of those 4 external hard drives was what's called poll cameras. What the DA's office did is they set, in the police department I should say, they had poll cameras focused on my client's house from a year and a half prior up until the date of the arrest. What that shows, and this defies common sense that he is actually the murderer, what the poll cameras show is a guy who gets up in the morning, he goes to work, he comes home, he spends time with his wife and children, you see him chopping wood, you see him hanging out on his porch. That's what you see. And that is 99% of what we got from the beginning.
Yeah, so you said you got...
And we want to know, what is the other 1%? Because obviously, he's still going to do his normal things. He's going to be chopping wood, although neighbors said he would be chopping wood in the middle of the night and staring at them if he looked at them. Remember those stories? Remember what all the neighbors said? How creepy he was? The kids weren't allowed to go there for trick-or-treating for Halloween. So, anyway.
Got very little actual evidence. I mean, can you expand on that?
So we just talked about those 4 external hard drives. I have ME reports, which are from the scene itself. They don't attribute in any way my client to the commission of these acts. The poll cameras basically defy their suggestion that this is this monster of a person. When he was arrested, there was a video in the actual police vehicle. My client, unless he's a tremendous actor, he was completely shocked, had no idea why he was being taken into custody, and there's this interaction.
Amazing, because his Google searches show otherwise. Why have they not caught the Long Island serial killer yet? On dates, apparently saying, hey, you know about the Gilgo Beach murders? So how do you think the guy got the bodies? I mean, now suddenly, of course, this is his defense attorney. I totally get it. I know he's just doing his job, but we're making some commentary. It's my job. I'm doing mine. I'm making commentary here with you guys. So if it's like, he's completely shocked. Well, yeah, all of them that we ever caught were, you know, if you think of all serial killers, they're always like, what? I can't believe it. I can't believe I got caught. And yeah, it's always from complacency as well. Like the pizza crust. Just like, I want to just chuck this out. Whatever. Not thinking that he's being watched. Like seriously being watched. and they're about to get your DNA.
So they don't tell you, the government doesn't tell you about these things, but these are things we're going to bring out during the course of the trial.
You said 99% of what you've reviewed is poll cameras?
What I had said was in the first 4 external hard drives, I'm going to say that there's about 99% of that was the poll camera video. Correct.
So you've been given very little indication of what their actual case is at this point?
I think that you folks have received what I received, which is the bail letter, which says there's a pizza crust, and then they talked about burner phones, and they talked about pinging in New York City. That's what I've seen.
I love the way that he words it, because if you guys have read through that probable cause affidavit with me, you're going to know. Now he's like minimizing the words, right? I mean, they're talking about pizza crust, burner phones, and just pinging around New York. I mean, that's why my client worked, right? Obviously, anybody can have burner phones, right? Anyone, we all like pizza, right? He's just like, yeah, but just look at all the other things that they have, though. And what about the DNA?
In terms of the bail letter, pinging in New York City, I mean, you folks know how the pinging works, and there's probably hundreds of thousands of people that are pinging off that cell site at any given time. That's all I've seen.
How is Rex doing right now?
How is Rex doing right now?
Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Given that and the fact that he's got 2 to 3 hours at a clip sitting there going through this evidence with you, how come we're being told by the DA that it's going to be months and months and months before we get to trial? Does he want to be in jail for months and months?
You're asking me. Well, I haven't gotten discovery. I'm still waiting for. So let's talk about things like this investigation was going on for 10 to 12 years. There were numerous other suspects, and you folks have reported this. There's numerous other suspects that they looked at. I want to see those records. I want to see those notes. I want to see why the police accused other people, were focusing on other people, and what it is about those individuals that caused them.
Smart. He's getting inspired by the Delphi case. Right? It's like, wait a minute. Okay. Let's see if these freaking Odins are here in New York. The Odinists, right? Although, I'm not laughing about the case in Delphi. I'm like literally looking at all of that. I'm looking at all of it. But here, I could see it just like, wait a minute. There were other suspects along the way. I want to see all those records. Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
To discount those other individuals. I haven't seen any of that. I also want to see, obviously, the crime lab. I want to see the testing that was done. I want to make sure it was done in the right manner and fashion. None of that I have seen. Going back to your question, does Rex want to stay in custody? Of course not. Of course not. But he can't bail out, and we are not going to go to trial until we get all the discovery, and the district attorney under the law is required to provide us with all of the discovery.
Do you expect him to be charged in a 4th murder?
You'd have to ask Mr. Tierney about that. I have no...
Do you expect him to be charged in a 4th murder? He's like, I don't know. You're going to have to ask Mr. Tierney about that. Wow, we've only got like a minute and a half left of this. And then I've got one more article that I do want to show you as well, which is very interesting. And then we'll call it a day. Happy Friday to all of you. If you're only joining the stream now, we are looking at all the latest updates in the case against Rex Heuermann. Right now we are listening to his defense attorney after Rex was last in court on September 27th, yes, in 2023. And he's next going to be in court on November 15th. So there's that. Rolfie and Harley said, amazing coverage, Grizzly. Thank you for all you do. And thank you to the mods for all that you do. Grizzlies are the best. Thank you so much. And thanks for being a member for 8 months.
No idea. I have no idea.
And Rex is spending 2 to 3 hours a day going through this discovery himself. Is that something he wanted to do, something that he asked you specifically if he could, be privy to the information?
Sure. I mean, he's the defendant. He's charged. He's an intelligent man. He's never been arrested. He wants to know what is it that they have that they're saying I'm involved in this. So as a defense attorney, we obviously want to share that with our client. If he was out of custody, he'd probably be coming to my office and we'd review that together. Because he's in custody, we made copies, and we're affording him the opportunity so that he can, at his leisure, review these items and all the discovery and assist in his defense, because that's what it's all about.
You said most of the evidence was from the cameras. What about...
It's like, what do they have against him? Yes, the client, the control freak needs to know. What all do they know? Like, oh my word, how bad is it going to get? Did they know about all the others? Because at some point he might take a turn and be like, okay, I want to be notorious. We've seen that in cases sometimes where they go the other way and then they start confessing to a whole lot more that they actually even did. Or, like Ted Bundy, he never, ever confessed to all of them. No. So, we shall see. Okay, we've got a minute.
About other evidence you've seen?
Well, those 4 external hard drives. So, again, about 99% are these poll cameras. Then you have approximately 3,000 pages deal with the ME's report when they found the bodies on each of the 3 occasions. We had videos, again, of him being arrested and what they call the takedown, and him in the police vehicle. I think that's the extent of what I recall in the first set, in the first 4 external hard drives. The 5th external hard drive is voluminous. It's these phone records and computer searches, and we started to look at those, but it really doesn't make sense until we have the question and answers from the grand jury, because those are all grand jury exhibits. It's like having a car without gas. You're not going to get anywhere. So now today, the district attorney indicated that we have gotten the grand jury testimony. So now we can put 2 and 2 together and we can review this and make sense of what they have and go from there.
Watching that video, the jury is
I'm muted. Hello. Okay, so it's okay. It's okay. All I was doing was saying I'm adjusting this to show you an article. Okay. Thank you for watching that with me. Now everyone's going to be like, muted. I can't. Listen. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this article now. Okay. And I'm glad we could watch that little media briefing, sort of press conference together. That was from September 27th of 2023. Rex Heuermann will next be in court on November 15th of 2023. We shall see what comes from that, right? So this one now is from the New York Times by Corey Kilgannon. They said Rex Heuermann, this is from October 1st of 2023. Rex Heuermann has been under close and constant watch in a Long Island jail since he was charged in July with killing a succession of women and leaving them wrapped in burlap along an oceanfront road. Now, the investigation into the Gilgo Beach serial killer has followed him behind bars. Investigators at the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead, New York, who belong to a... I don't know how to do that for YouTube. You can read it there. Oh, man. Sorry about that. It's not like we want to talk like that. It's not like we want to. Anyway, but it does affect the video. It does affect the video if you don't abbreviate these types of words. You see that? Investigators who belong to a unit have been interviewing female inmates who have worked as escorts or sex workers to gain more information about Mr. Heurmann, a 59-year-old architect who has pleaded not guilty and is being held without bail under the same roof. So if you didn't know that he is being held without bail, now you remember. Okay. So earlier investigations of the murders were plagued with dysfunction, and investigators ignored leads proffered by women working as sex workers. Now the authorities finally seem to be listening. The 3 women whom Mr. Heurmann is charged with killing more than a decade ago all had worked as escorts. He's also the prime suspect in the death of a 4th woman found at Gilgo Beach and is being investigated in connection to 7 others found buried nearby. Numerous prosecutors are looking into other possible links between Mr. Heurmann, who Suffolk authorities say was using massage parlors and escort services until his arrest on July 13th, and other killings. Okay. Jail officials say that they've interviewed about 120 women between the Riverhead jail and the county's other lockup in... Wow, how do we say that word, you guys? How do we say it? Yapank? Yafank. I'd be like, Yafank. Okay, Yapank. Sorry about that. They have forwarded information to the Interdepartmental Gilgo Beach Task Force from 10 inmates who claim to have encountered Mr. Heurmann in contexts ranging from online dating requests to in-person rendezvous. Oh, wow. Rendezvous? 120 women that they're interviewing. You know how much information they're going to get from them? Oh, my word. Right? 2 women said that while working as escorts, they had intimate encounters with Mr. Heurmann in which his violent and aggressive behavior left them frightened but not injured, said Errol D. Toulon Jr., the Suffolk County Sheriff. Mr. Heurmann's lawyer did not respond to requests for comment. Obtaining information from people working as escorts can be a challenge, partly because police interactions are often seen as adversarial and can carry the risk of arrest. Peter Pronzo, Lieutenant Peter Pronzo says, defense attorney is a mirror image of John Gotti's attorney, Bruce Cutler. New York slang style, smart, but a bit rough around the edges. Yes. So they say the jail setting offers the luxury of time, said Sergeant Aaron Munkle, the investigator who heads the ST unit, talking to the woman. Because people charged with prostitution are often assigned to treatment rather than jail, many of the female inmates that the unit deals with are locked up on DRUG or robbery charges and reveal only after personal discussions their histories of working as escorts or sex workers, she said. Right? So here they say Sergeant Aaron Munkle said that building relationships with inmates can encourage them to speak more freely. Jail offers the chance to foster relationships. The 2 investigators, Sergeant Munkle supervises both women, typically dress in polo shirts and slacks rather than uniforms. Sergeant Munkle said the officers avoid asking about an inmate's current case. Their other role, offering counseling, job assistance, housing, and support services, helps gain inmates' trust. Prosecutors say they already have a strong case against Mr. Heurmann, including DNA evidence, cell phone records, and a witness's description of his distinctive pickup truck. But hoping to learn more about possible crimes, Sheriff Toulon turned to the ST unit, which largely works with female inmates forced into prostitution. Officials in neighboring Nassau County and at Rikers Island have agreed to use the same strategy in their jails. They could get a lot of information here, right? Okay. When Mr. Heurmann first arrived at the jail, an imposing grey structure at the eastern end of the Long Island Expressway, he was put on an aliving watch. Stripped of belts and bedsheets and clad in a smock. That always makes me laugh. He was clad in a smock that restrained him. At the very beginning, he was laying on his bunk, either staring at the ceiling or on his side with his back to the wall. The sheriff said he slept a lot. After more than 2 months, Mr. Heurmann seems to have settled into incarcerated life as his case crawls through numerous court conferences and hearings. He now has bedsheets and his smock has been replaced with a green uniform. For his own safety, he is kept apart from the general population, housed alone in a special unit, and supervised around the clock by a dedicated guard. Supervisors check in regularly. It's me, Dee said, did law enforcement ever state how RH came into the radar? Did they use genetic genealogy? Thank you. Love your channel. They really did specify quite a lot from that probable cause affidavit. So right after this, I would recommend checking out the playlist and see where I read through that with you, because we went over all of that in a deep dive after that. It could be very helpful to understand, wow, this task force, they did great in putting all the info together they found him within about a month or so. They already had the eyes on him, based especially on that pickup truck that a eyewitness had seen outside of Amber Lynn Costello's house, a green pickup truck, and they described it, and then they looked for that in the area, and then they already had the eyes on Rex Heuermann, and then the cell phone pings and all sorts of things, the Google searches, all that stuff, right? Liz says, no more smocky. Yeah, no more smocky. Okay. Holly Golightly said, rumor divorce in the process to keep their assets. Everything goes to Asa. That as well, right? Okay, and so they say Mr. Heurmann's 60 square foot cell has a bunk, a sink, a toilet, and a plastic mirror. Of course, they can't have the glass. We know why. He reads books from the jail's library, watches a television outside his cell. A guard handles the remote. They're like, no Grizzly true crime. And reads about his case in newspapers. He also receives letters and has gotten... Oh, no. We know how that's going to go, right? Receiving letters. Oh, no. There's always going to be those people who are fans of these people. Oh man, Rolfie and Harley, thank you so much for your super chat there. Stefan says, bunk, sink, toilet, and plastic mirror. What else do you need? Right? So, you see, he received letters and has gotten visit requests from journalists and true crime fans, which he has refused. You know, he's got standards. I'm saying that very sarcastically because he's like, I am very well behaved, okay? I am so damn fancy. They give me 4 hours to look at this discovery. I do 2 to 3. Also, all these like fanboys and girls, yeah, I'm going to turn them all down. I just smell his ego from here. How about you guys? Sarah D, even though he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Sarah, thank you for for being a Grizzly supporter for 17 months. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And so, to continue on. Oh, he gets all these letters. Yes, he's now estranged wife and children are still living in the family home in Massapequa Park, have not visited. Okay, cool. So then he is escorted many days to a fenced-off area in the exercise yard where he spends his allotted hour walking laps by himself. He meets with a chaplain and his lawyer, Sheriff Toulon said. When the Gilgo Beach Task Force, which includes the Sheriff's Office, was reconvened in early 2022, the ST unit began using a questionnaire with interview subjects that included questions about dates with violent Johns. After Mr. Heurmann's arrest, the unit began asking specifically whether chatter in escort circles had touched on anyone who might resemble Mr. Heurmann, who is an imposing 6'4", 240-pound ogre. They initially described him as an ogre. I was like, oh my word. These women all talk to each other to protect each other because of all the different types of men they might be encountering, the sheriff said. John Ray, a lawyer for the 2 Gilgo victims' families, said it was prudent to go straight to the sex workers and try to get deep as they can into the subculture that Rex Heuermann was existing in. But the remains of most of the victims who had advertised on CRAIGSLIST were found in 2010 and 2011. Mr. Ray called it unlikely that the unit would find information relevant to the Gilgo killings, which may have occurred more than 15 years ago. But I want to know what he did between 2010 and 2023, right? He said most of the escorts back then have died or retired, he said. Also, he said the possibility of leniency offered by prosecutors in exchange for information raises credibility issues. Everyone they're talking to is tainted because people in jail are looking to score points to get out, he said. Sheriff Toulon said his unit lets inmates decide whether to speak to the task force. There may be some individuals who want their 15 minutes of fame, but our goal is just to interview them and see what they know, he said. Speaking to women who have done escort work is a tactic that earlier versions of the task force failed to use, at least in one instance. In 2011, the Manhattan-based sex workers project was approached by Suffolk police officials, hoping to get escorts to come forward with information, said Crystal Dubois. I don't know if it's Dubois, but Dubois seems right, the project's co-director at the time. The group was eager to help solve the case, one that had deeply upset the local sex work community, she said. The group suggested forming a task force to work with investigators and mentioned a potential resource, a bad date compilation that women maintained about troublesome clients. We thought we had a treasure trove of information, and a lot of people were willing to give it, if someone was willing to listen, said Ms. Dubois, a psychotherapist. But first, she said, the group asked for assurance that the workers would not be arrested if they came forward. The investigators responded that they were no longer interested in the group's help, she said. If they had worked with us, they would have had a tremendous amount of information that they did not have access to, Ms. Dubois said, but without an offer of immunity, the women never had the chance to speak. Did one of these Gilgo victims think of calling the police and then decide against it? Ms. Dubois said, because you hear that a lot among sex workers. I wish I could have called the police. But 120 being interviewed sounds pretty promising, right? So that's what I have for you today. That was actually quite a lot, right? It always feels like it's just a few quick updates, but we've been here for over an hour. Can you believe it? The time flies. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for spending your time here with me. Really appreciate it. Carrie says, Grizzly True Crime. The culture at the old police investigation towards sex workers means victims wouldn't come forward. Top cops were charged using exactly. Yeah. Well, in general, even just the culture back then, right? So I'm glad that they're listening to them now because it could be very, very helpful, right? Okay. So, Point is, thank you for spending some of your Friday here with me. I hope that you enjoyed the episode, even though I know the topic is very grim. And Angie says, snark session today? Not today, but we might have a members-only stream sometime soon again. Maybe I'll even be in a different location, like outdoors. Might even need to get a little bit of sunshine, and I might take you guys with me. So we shall see, okay, members? And to all the patrons, if I do get outside, you know you're going to get videos and photos and everything, the behind-the-scenes updates you normally get, of course. Thank you so much, mods, for everything you do. Really appreciate it. All the patrons, everyone who's made it over to Patreon. If you guys want to chat as a community, like after the show, you know, not in the comments, like in a community chat, Patreon now has that, so that's pretty cool. And I will see you over there. And other than that, stay safe. I hope that you guys have a wonderful Friday afternoon or evening. And I'll see you again soon. I've actually already filmed some videos for you for this weekend, which I'm excited to show you. So make sure that you subscribed. Hit it again. Click all so that you get all notifications. If you don't get a notification, make sure you go to my channel. And you know it goes like home, videos. This is now in the live stream section. Check the videos section tomorrow and on Sunday, because there might be some videos there for you, okay? On various topics, we shall see. Okay, everyone, thank you so much, and I will definitely see you soon. See you in the next one. Bye!